Hi, my name is Kristin Snowden, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of California. I've had so much feedback and comments from viewers who are basically saying, okay, I've already identified that I'm in a bad relationship. This isn't working for me. How do I get out of this? What do I do? Where do I go from here? So I'm currently creating a series of videos on this subject. It's basically going to be for anybody if you're already out the door and you're trying to manage life without your partner, or you're still in the relationship, you've identified that it's unhealthy, and should you work on it to kind of fix it within the relationship, or fix yourself because your partner might not be willing, etc. So please check them out. They're going to be linked below. Today we're going to specifically be talking about someone who's maybe outside a relationship, or pulling away from an unhealthy relationship and in a state of pain and withdrawal because of the absence of that partner. So I'll start with two quotes from Glennon Doyle when she's talking about what pain is to her. Those with the capacity to feel great pain are also those with the capacity to feel deep joy. Those who fall hard can rise gloriously. She also says that when pain knocks on the door, wise ones will breathe deep and say, "Come in, sit down with me, and don't leave until you've taught me what I need to know." She says that basically pain is a professor, and we need to sit down, and instead of running away from pain, we need to sit down and figure out what pain is telling us. Now, I have to start with a disclaimer and tell you that when I am talking about pain, I am not talking about physical, dangerous, your safety is at risk kind of pain. If you are in a relationship where your life or your body or anything serious is being threatened and your safety is being threatened, please go put yourself in a safe situation. Do not sit with the pain and try to figure out what it's telling you. Safety is the most important thing. As a therapist, most clients come to me in crisis, and I try to walk with them through their pain and challenges in an effort to prevent prolonged suffering. Pain in these instances can be a very important learning tool, while suffering is just kind of sitting in misery. So for instance, I get a lot of clients that are engaged in an affair. So they're currently lying to their spouse. They may be lying to the affair partner. And they're kind of sitting in that in-between state where they're paralyzed. Should I stay in my marriage? Should I go? Oh, this is so fun and intense. Every time I try to cut off the relationship or the communication with the affair partner, I feel terrible. So we end up getting back together again, and I continue on in that cycle. I have some articles about that. I'll link it below. But basically, I call this state purgatory because the definition of purgatory is a temporary state of suffering and punishment. And I describe that when people are in this in-between state, the people that are saying, I know my relationship is horrible, but I just don't know how to leave. Or every time I leave, it's so painful and horrible that I gotta go back in because it's better to kind of be with them in this toxic cycle than without them. And often the person remains in this state for months or even years. So the ironic part is that these people who stay in these unhealthy, toxic relationships say that they do it in order to avoid the pain and the negative consequences involved with making a concrete decision to leave the relationship or face the relationship's toxicity and maladaptive patterns head on to fix them. But ironically, it's actually when you're in that purgatory paralyzed state, that's where most of the suffering occurs. So I call this kind of vicious cycle the pain paradox, because you run from the pain because it's too much to endure, but yet staying there in this toxic relationship or in this extramarital affair where you're lying and manipulating, cheating, there's so much pain and consequences involved with that as well. why I think this confusing thing happens in toxic relationships or unhealthy relationships that go on and on and on is we think that, when our body experiences physical pain, such as when we touch a hot pot on the stove, our instinct is to pull our hand off because it causes physical pain. It says, yikes, don't touch that hot pot. And we go, okay, so it triggers this instinct to pull away and run away, which is why I think that we stay in this toxic cycle. But I really feel like the purpose of that physical pain that gets lodged into your long-term memory is basically saying, no, just don't touch a hot pot. Stay away from this. If you keep doing it, you're going to be in this vicious cycle where you're going to keep burning your fingers. And that pain is not just telling you, pull away, run away, get away. It's telling you learn from this. When a pot is on a stove, it's hot. So you need to take extra measures to deal with this hot pot in a healthy, safe way. And I think that's we don't get that part of the message. We just go, ugh, it sucks when it hurts, and so I'm going to stop this thing. I'm going to stop this uncomfortable source of feeling and just try to go back to the way it was or whatever. When we are leaving an unhealthy relationship or we're enduring the really uncomfortable process of owning that it is unhealthy and what do I need to do to fix myself and what do I need to do to ask my partner to see if he or she is willing to help fix this toxic cycle, or if I'm engaged in an extramarital affair and that does not align with my value system and I feel really crappy doing it. We have to go through these really painful, uncomfortable steps to change the system. I tell clients a lot that our emotional state is very similar to our physical state, in that, the only way you want to get a more ripped bicep is that you have to lift heavy weights and break down the muscle fibers, and then they're going to heal again and scar again and become stronger and bigger. I'm sure I'm going to get some kind of comment down below from a kinesiology major. But my understanding is the only way you get physically stronger is to stress the muscle, stress the body, and then it heals stronger. Well, our emotions and our relationships are the same way, that you cannot be triggered to run or be triggered to go back to the same old thing just to avoid the discomfort of changing. You have to listen to the pain of the discomfort, the hurt, etc., and use that as a catalyst to, okay, what's going on here? Why do I feel so angry or hurt? Why do I feel betrayed? And don't think that just going back to the way it was before is going to suddenly create comfort again, because that's just not the case. We're taught that pain is a bad thing and that we should run from it. But when it comes to emotional growth, becoming more complex and dynamic with a greater understanding of ourselves and others, it is only achieved after we experience emotional discomfort. It is in these uncomfortable, painful moments in life that we grow stronger, but only if we sit with the pain and learn from it. So when we avoid the pain and distract ourselves from it or ignore it or numb it out from our various ways of drinking, doing drugs, having marital affairs, over shopping, overeating, etc., when we do all those things to avoid the pain, we're not listening to what the pain and discomfort is trying to tell us and what we're supposed to be figuring out. We never have to grow. We never have to face our poor choices. We never have to make amends for them. And then we never have to figure out who we are, what we want from life, and what we want to be, etc. It's this counterintuitive concept, right? Is that you come into therapy because you're in this pain and you don't like it. And ironically, though, oftentimes therapy is about putting you in a state of discomfort because there's so many ways that our society tries to get you to distract and numb out and avoid the consequences and the pain of something. That oftentimes the answer is to just kind of face them head on, sit with the discomfort and find out what it's telling you. So in the state of someone who is in an affair and they, have tried to cut it off several times, but they've let the discomfort of the withdrawal from leaving the relationship kind of bring them back to engaging in it again, or the drive to feel that intensity and passion over maybe the monotony or pain of their primary relationship kind of keeps them going in that cycle. I encourage them to kind of face the discomfort of the situation that they've gotten themselves into. Because they're really, from that moment on, there's no painless scenario, no painless alternative out of this. If someone who's engaged in an affair decides to stay with their family, their spouses, their children, they have to deal with the shame of their choices. They have to maintain accountability and kind of see the harm that their choices have caused. They have to kind of deal with the partner who feels deeply betrayed and needs help healing. And then when there's just basic marital issues going on between partners, there's negative patterns, poor communication, unspoken resentments, new understanding of self after a crisis that contribute to a marital breakdown. Those have to be dealt with, and those are extremely uncomfortable. Healing happens when you take control of your life by figuring out who you are, what you want to stand for, regardless of the consequences, while telling your body and mind that you're not going to die as you walk through this state of pain and discomfort. It's going to be very difficult and challenging to change an unhealthy relationship or to walk away from a toxic relationship. There is no doubt about that. But you should listen to that pain. It doesn't mean wipe it away, distract it, ignore it, minimize it. It means listen to it. A little note about when you leave a relationship, what you go through. It is common when we're dealing with the loss of a relationship, or you leave a relationship or a breakup or a realization that your marriage or partnership is toxic. You go through the various stages of grief. The acronym for the stages of grief is DABDA, because it's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, then acceptance. So let's say, let's talk again about a person who's cheating on his or her spouse and is engaged in this clandestine, very intense and passionate sexual affair with somebody. Okay, I don't want to be in that. Because it's hurting my partner, and I don't want to get a divorce. I don't want to harm my kids anymore and miss any more birthday parties or coming home really late because I'm more engaged in this affair than I am in my family life. So first, there's the denial, which is, and actually these stages all interchange, so they can all happen at different times. So don't think it's like a chronological order, but it's denial. So maybe, it really isn't that bad. I mean, I'm really not missing out on my family's life that much. And in fact, when I'm getting all my needs met sexually with this affair partner, I'm probably a better person. And my spouse doesn't seem to really notice that I'm cheating, or that doesn't seem to have that big of a problem with it. So maybe it's really not that big of a deal. Maybe I want this. Then there's anger, which that's pretty self-explanatory. When you lose something, so let's say I decide to cut off my affair partner, and then I go back into the marriage, and maybe my spouse is passive aggressive and unforgiving. I can be very angry, say, I sacrificed all this. I had this great love affair going on with this other person, and you are angry at me. I've sacrificed, I've given so much, but I'm grieving the loss of that relationship. Or I can be angry at that person. How dare they seduce me? How dare he or she get me to go do those kind of things and then just dump me? Or I don't know. But you can experience anger when you're in the stages of grief, of loss of a relationship. Bargaining. This is definitely the stage that's related to the withdrawal stage, right? Where you can't handle the space between you and this person, where you've set that boundary. I'm not going to deal with this emotional abuse anymore. I don't want to be with you anymore. Bargaining is kind of where you get into that fantasy world where it's like, well, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, this dating world. I don't want to be single again. I don't want to go find another partner. I feel so invaluable to other people. Maybe it's just better for the sake of the kids if I just kind of endure the way the things are, and just kind of grin and bear the whole thing. That's what I call the BS stage, is where you just start BSing yourself about the fact that it really wasn't as bad as you thought it was. And maybe it's worth going back and enduring it because, you've told yourself that going back and grinning and bearing that toxic relationship and toxic pattern and toxic way of life is better than going through these withdrawals and this grief process. Another stage is depression. So again, I've had partners who've either left relationships, gotten divorced, or left the affair partner, and then there's just a legitimate sadness, a legitimate kind of grief and loss that they lost that person, they lost those years of their life, they lost their all the things they thought that were going to come with the marriage or the relationship, or depression about them falling short of their own expectations, what they thought would they'd do with their life. So, and then the last stage is acceptance, which is that wasn't healthy. I'm out of it now. I'm hoping that I'm going to be better for it eventually. But me and this other person should just not be in a relationship, and I need to move on. And hopefully, now that I know better, I'll do better and be better. So do acknowledge that there are stages of grief when you are moving on and leaving an unhealthy relationship. And there's definitely that withdrawal piece. For more information about how to kind of endure and manage this pain and discomfort of being in a toxic relationship or leaving a toxic relationship or unhealthy relationship, I'm finishing out the article, and I'm going to add more details about ways to manage it. But I want to keep this short and sweet because it's a series of videos to kind of help along. But please, if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments, your email. I read them all, and I sometimes try to make time to respond to them. But I appreciate your feedback and information, and I'll see you in the next video.